Ah, okay. Uh, okay, so yes. So thank you very much for coming to today's class again. Today is our 12th Tocharian class. Since a lot of you have already attended the Tocharian class yesterday, so I assume that you already have some idea of the Tocharian present. So I'm not going to, today we start with grammar, of course. Yesterday's German class, yeah, okay. Yesterday we talked about the Tocharian presence, and we actually finished all the 12 classes. So probably I can give a very brief review in English or probably in Chinese. Yeah. 对，就是昨天讲了吐火罗语的现在时，然后讲完了，然后从第7类开始 ，so from class 7 to class 12. So class 7 is actually S present, and 8. Class 8 is S present, and 9 is S presence, and 10 is Nusk. Yes, and 11 is Sursk, and 12 is Near. Yeah. So you can see from the class 10 and class 11, they are actually mixed present. So like two components, Near and Sk, right? And this is Sur plus Sk. And Sk is a very productive present class in languages, right? So you have like in Sanskrit, you have gachati, right? So this ch goes back to sk, and also you have like yachati, yeah, and also other. Well, this is for me the two most familiar, gachati and yachati. Yeah. Okay, and so today we're going to talk about subjunctive. Yeah. Subjunctive in Tocharian, and also in other Indo-European languages. Yeah, this is actually our plan. Yeah. Okay, so we just start, so save some time, and probably as I explained earlier, probably after we finish grammar, we will make our classes into regular reading classes. So like for Tocharian, we're going to read the Buddhist stories or read the Maitreya Sammitinataka, 就是弥勒会见记，就是我们可能会读《福利太子因缘》或者《弥勒会见记》，然后也会读一些那个法句经或者出要经，like Dhammapada or Udana Varga. And for Greek, we are going to read Iliad, and for Latin, after finish the grammar, like probably we'll start from August. This is my plan. So approximately from August, we will finish the grammar, and all the classes become a reading class. Yeah. And again, preparation is not required and not even desired, but if you wish, you can do this. Because we will start from the very beginning. Like for Greek, we start we will read Iliad, and probably from the first book. And for Sanskrit, we read Rig Veda, but not from the first mandala. but probably from the fourth mandala. And for Tocharian, it's not determined. We can discuss which we can start. Probably we can start with Punyavanta Jataka, 福利太子姻缘. And for Latin, we will probably read some old Latin drama fragments, and then to Vergil or Horatius. Yeah. So this is about our plan. So about probably from August 2020. So actually, according to my plan, this is actually my plan. So I can make it a little bit bigger. So actually, in August, we can actually reach like Sanskrit. We can Sanskrit 15. So actually, we can just properly finish all the grammar. And for Greek, it's already 10. So I think it's also enough. But during the reading class, I will, of course, explain some grammar points, not only just reading. Yeah. And through reading, we will also talk about grammar, about etymology, and go to the deeper aspects, go deeper, yeah. And then for Latin, probably also we can start from September, right? Okay, so this is basically the plan. And yes, this is basically a plan for August, September, and October. Yeah, and September, as I have already mentioned a few times, that we're going to have an intensive course taught by Hackstein, my supervisor, and myself. And Tocharian and Germanic linguistics will be covered, but in the form of an introductory Indo-European linguistic class. Yeah. So this is actually from 14 to 25th September. And probably we can still have several classes before the intensive class. So actually, September will be a little bit busy. So actually, 14 to 25th, we are going to have about 10 days, right? I mean, altogether, it's about like 14 or 13 days. But we're going to have classes for about 10 days, yeah. And each day and every day, we are going to have like 3 to 4 hours classes, yeah. Yeah, so this is basically a very intensive class, yeah. Okay. No, it's a Zoom. Yeah, it's a Zoom. It's an online course. Yeah. Okay. And it will be public. So I will also record the lessons, and we will ask for permission from the Fudan University if we can upload the video to the website. Yeah, but anyway, the Zoom class is open to all. So if you have time, if you are interested, you can join us. Okay, so this is very okay. Yes, okay. So this is basically the schedule for during the summer. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think we can start. So this is not very useful. So for the subjunctive, well, we can also use a table by Hackstein. So this is a handout by Hackstein, but first I'm going to use this one. So this one is the West Tocharian grammar, because we're actually we first focus on West Tocharian, and then we can talk about East Tocharian. So basically, we use this book. This is a very good grammar for West Tocharian verb. So this is actually only the first volume by Wolfgang Kauser. And I hope that you all already know this name, Kauser. And he's not only a Tocharian scholar, but also a very famous Germanic scholar. Yeah. So this book is really systematic, organized, so it is very helpful. So I just highlight the very important points. So the reasons that I want to explain something about conjunctive or subjunctive, that Tocharian subjunctive is a little bit different, or probably I can call it quite different. Yeah, and you will see it later. Yeah, and then I just want to use these subjects, subjunctive, to introduce other languages, the situation in other languages. Okay, so we can start. So as probably you have already seen last time that, or previously, yeah, that conjunctive subjunctive or conjunctive, I assume that you can, you are already familiar with the German word conjunctive, right? So conjunctive, you can build optative from conjunctive. So kind of these two are related with each other. This is already different from other Indo-European languages, or make the central or the core Indo-European languages, like in Greek and Sanskrit. Subjunctive and optatives, they are separated, right? Yeah, you cannot build subjunctive. You cannot build Sanskrit optative directly from subjunctive, right? Yeah, but in Tocharian, they are quite related. And then from subjunctive, conjunctive, you can also build gerund, gerundive. And also infinitive. This is also important. In Tocharian B, you build infinitive from the subjunctive stem. Yeah. Okay. And then there's also some very important information here. So this is something really. Here, so probably you can take it as a German reading class, and I will explain it. So der Konjunktiv verwendet großenteils die gleiche Bildungselemente wie der Präsenzstamm. So it tells us the subjunctive use actually, for the most part, großenteils, the same building element. So actually use the same morpheme to build the subjunctive, which tells us that sometimes the form can be identical. So then there's also a sentence. Wait a minute. So you can see there's also, okay, so probably some statistics. So present, we have 12, and conjunctive, we have 11 conjunctive. So for example, conjunctive eins, so the first subjunctive is identical to the present one, the first present. So conjunctive eins is equal to presence eins, presence one, yeah. And then comes the question, how can we identify them as present or conjunctive? So it must come from the context. And we will talk about it later, that the subjunctive, the conjunctive, have specific semantics. So used in specific context, yeah. Okay. And there's also, but for the first person, conjunctive should, yeah, it's English subjunctive, yeah. Subjunctive, yeah. So this is English subjunctive is equals to German conjunctive, yeah. Okay. And then you see the second one, Konjunktiv 2, deckt sich formal völlig mit Präsens 2 bei normal wechselnd Themavokal und Erweiterung des Wurzelauslauts in bestimmten Fällen. So it tells us Konjunktiv 2 is formally identical, völlig, completely, with present 2. The second present. Yeah. So formally, you cannot actually distinguish them from each other. And second present, so present 2 is semantic present, right? So for semantic present, it has semantic vowel, and this semantic vowel is vexant Themavokal. So it changes, it changes, right? There's a distribution, and I hope you already know the distribution. I'm not going to repeat it here. And then Erweiterung des Wurzelauslauts. So this Erweiterung in German, it means actually palatalization. So it is palatalization, yeah. So for some persons, the semantic vowel is a, right? And the consonant before the a will be palatalized. Yeah, okay. And then class 3 called a conjunctive. So it's also identical actually to the present class 3. So conjunctive 3, present 3, they are identical. Only nur, dass der E-Konjunktiv auch thematisch flektierte Aktivformen kennt. So probably you have some, probably you still remember that I mentioned the present 3 is actually medium tantum. Yeah. So I write it here. So this is medium tantum. So only in medium. This, of course, active tantum. Sorry, active tantum. But active tantum is not really there are not many active tantum. Yeah, but medium tantum is really popular. There are a lot of languages having verbs only in middle. Yeah. And then you can see that present 3 and present 4, they are actually middle. Yeah, this mar, tar, ter, and ter, inter, and mar, tar, ter, they are typical middle endings. Yeah. But conjunctive, the class 3, there's also active forms. Yeah. So this is a big difference. Yeah. And this is also yeah, okay, so this is enough. And then there's also conjunctive, there's also conjunctive 4, but only in one case. So conjunctive 4 is really rare, and there's no correspondence, keine Entsprechung innerhalb der Präsenzstämme. So inside the present stems, there's actually no correspondence, Entsprechung, no correspondence. And conjunctive 5, so probably I can, yeah. So conjunctive 5, it corresponds again completely to the present 5. So present 5, probably you also have some idea of present 5. So present 5 we talked about last time. It's the verb rök. Rök means sehen, to see. And so you can see here are, and also in in East Tocharian, r. So this is typical r present. Yeah. Okay. And then conjunctive 5 again is with r. So conjunctive 5 is also called r conjunctive. Yeah. Okay. And then class 6 is also na conjunctive. So again, it's corresponds to the present 6. But there's only there's a difference that the conjunctive form has no variant of ana. This is one difference. Yeah. And then for 7, class 7, is nasal. Is nasal conjunctive, and this nasal conjunctive is very interestingly has palatalized nasal. So it's not just a nasal, because for the present, we can check it. So for the present 7, the nasal is a uronasal, right? And it becomes a velar nasal because after this nasal there's a velar，就是它为什么上面加个点呢？就是因为它后面有一个科，这个科的音呢，它是一个软腭音，对吧？velar，然后它会影响这个鼻音，所以就会把它变成一个上面加点的软腭音，对吧？对 ，so this is kind of assimilation. Yeah. But the conjunctive. Wait a minute. Yeah, but the conjunctive has only this palatalized near. Yeah, and then again, esker conjunctive. So you can see that conjunctive is actually just identical to the present, right? So esker present is identical. Yeah, it's identical with present 9, right? Völlig identisch, so completely identical. Yeah. Okay. And does anyone see any difference? Here's 7, right? But here's 9. So where is 8? Is it a mistake in this book? So 7, number 7 is class 7, but number 8 is class 9. This is not a mistake. This is actually, there's no conjunctive, there's no S subjunctive. There's only esker subjunctive. So S present exists only in present. Yeah. So this is the reason. There's actually, but so there's actually no conjunctive. There's actually no subjunctive 8 in Tocharian. In the Tocharian grammar. So this is just left empty. So they intentionally left this class empty because they want to equate the conjunctive, subjunctive with present. Yeah. So like subjunctive esker corresponds to present esker, right? But present esker is class 9. So they have to use class 9 also for subjunctive. 大家能明白什么原因对吧？是吐火罗语语法当中，就它没有虚拟式第8类，它故意跳过去了，就跟大家做电器一样。就大家在国内，比如说有一些比较吉利的，就是比较避讳的那个公司，它可能没有4楼，对不对？就你可能3楼一下子跳到5楼了，对不对？但不是说中间那层是空的，大家这个道理能明白吗？就这个楼肯定中间不可能空了一层，对吧？或者没有13楼，对吧？就是一样的意思，对，就是它不会 就他不是说中间这层楼空了啊，他就是故意标数字的时候就是这么标的，对，所以 just like the Tocharian grammar, so they just in so they intentionally left this class 8 out. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You can use alphabet. You can use letters. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. This is some funny point in the grammar. Yeah. Okay. And then the next class is the NSK conjunctive. So it's just like the present, right? So like present 10, right? And then there's also a conjunctive 12, but only very limited attested. So only find it like kann nur aus gelegentlicher Infinitiv und Optativ Bürden erschlossen werden. So what does this mean? It means that we only have forms. We don't have no subjunctive, no finite subjunctive forms. Okay, so we can check the present 8. You can find it here. So this is a very important class in Tocharian. This is also a very special class. So present 8 is called S present. So we have Elsau, Elstor, Elsem, Elshem, and Elsem, Elsche, Elsem. So keep it in mind, this is a very special class. We are going to talk about it later. Yeah. So S present. You don't find it in any other languages. Yeah. At least the not in Greek, not in Sanskrit, not in Latin. Yeah. We don't have this S present. Yeah. Okay. And actually, we're going to talk about this S today. Yeah. So this is a very important morpheme. So we're going to talk about S morpheme. Sorry. We're going to talk about this S morpheme today. Yeah. So this is a very important morpheme. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically the information you can. So since you already know something about the present and the conjunctive is not that complicated, right? Although it has 11 different classes, but basically they are the same. They're same to the present, right? So this is basically not that complicated. Yeah. So I just explained this sentence. So for class 12, it is very rare. So we don't have finite subjunctive forms, but we have infinitives containing this near. And we already mentioned infinitive come from subjunctive, right? So then we know that there must be a subjunctive near subjunctive。就是我用中文解释一下，就是说啊，就是这类第12类那个第12类的那个虚拟式呢，就非常少，就是几乎没有。然后呢，我们保留下来的形式呢，主要是包含这个捏的不定式和虚拟和祈愿式。然后在吐火罗语当中，那个不定式和祈愿式呢是从虚拟语气来的。所以我们如果有不定式和虚拟式的形式，那我们是不是可以反推的确存在一个subjunctive? Okay, so this is actually the logic. Okay, and probably we can just check some. Well, I can show you some forms. Like or probably we can use the handout by Hackstein. Yeah. Okay, so we can check this one. So this is conjunctive 1, right? So this is asymmetric conjunctive 1, And you see this is a form called pleku and keru and so on, yeah. And neku and keu. And the other forms plekum and plekne and parken me. So this is actually the suffixed pronouns. Yeah. Okay, and then from cognitive, you can build optative. So optative, we can just also mention briefly. So it's really simple. Yeah. So in order to build Tocharian optative, you just put a subjunctive plus a e. So this is so simple, yeah. And then plus personal ending. And personal ending we can talk about later, you know, or we can so we can check it in the grammar. So this is quite simple. If you want to build an optative, you just put subjunctive form plus a e, and this e, this is e I talked about yesterday. So this e comes from the Indo-European ich. So this is a weak. So this is a 0 grade of PIE. This is PIE, right? Yeah. So this is ich is actually the 0 grade of PIE. Yeah. So I should put a. So this is actually the origin of the Tocharian subjunctive. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And can anyone remember the optative of Sanskrit? So in Sanskrit, how can we build an optative? Optative. Sanskrit optative, you use. Oh, sorry. Okay. So Sanskrit, if you want to build an aorist, if you want to build an optative, so you use a stem, right? And then you put a semantic vowel, and then you put an e. So this is for the semantic. And then let's just compare Tocharian and Sanskrit. So if we take this as a bear, yeah. So if we want to have a verb, so if we take the verb bar, so bar means carry, right? So you all know that, I assume. So you just use bar, and then you plus a semantic vowel, which is R, but originally this R, originally this R comes from PIEO. Yeah. Okay, and then you plus the E after this. So if we take this one as a stem, right? And this is probably, right? So this is a stem. And this stem can be compared with the subjunctive stem, right? So subjunctive, there's a case, there's a class called semantic, right? So we have already seen. So probably we can check this one. So this is a semantic cognitive, right? So this is, it can be compared with actually the Sanskrit one. Yeah. So basically you use a stem and then you put an E after this stem. Yeah. And this E is a marker of optative. Okay, so this is basically for the descriptive grammar. And then let's move on to the historical one. So let's talk about conjunctive. Yeah. And I just want to, so let's talk about subjunctive. So in Tocharian, subjunctive is different from present. So like if I So probably we can start with something familiar, which you are all familiar with. So let's talk about first the Sanskrit. So what is the system of the tense and the mood system? Tense, mood system. So for the present, so we have first the present, right? And then we have aorist, right? And for present on aorist, we can build indicative, right? And subjunctive, subjunctive, right? And then we can build also optative. So I think you are familiar with this one. So in Sanskrit, we can have present indicative, present subjunctive, present optative, right? And also for aorist, we can have aorist indicative, aorist subjunctive, and aorist optative is probably not, yeah, there's also optative, of course. Okay, so this is the tense mode system in Sanskrit. And in Greek, it's also the same, right? So you also have this system in Greek. So basically, Sanskrit and Greek, yeah. So these represent the typical or the central or core Indo-European languages, yeah. So this is actually central or core, i.e. Languages, yeah. Okay, so this is the system. But what is the system in Tocharian? Oh, probably I can, I think I need to also mention briefly the meaning of subjunctive in Tocharian. Yeah. So actually, I have mentioned that present and subjunctives, they are a lot of, most in, how to say that, in many cases, they are identical in form, but the meaning is different. So how can we tell if it is a conjunctive according to the meaning? So the Tocharian subjunctive usually has a future meaning. So in Tocharian, if we want to express the future meaning, there is no future in Tocharian. So in Tocharian, if we want to express the future meaning, we need to use a subjunctive. So we can actually find evidences like this. So let's check it. So you all know that there are a lot of translation and very exact translation from the Sanskrit texts. Like for example, the Udana Varga Sanskrit text, like Samkarpa Ishyami is called Praskal in Tocharian, right? And then Bhavishyasi is translated as takat. It is future, or it is actually conjunctive, conjunctive or subjunctive, future, subjunctive in Tocharian. So you can see the meaning of conjunctive is actually future, yeah. And remember this word, and we will talk about it later, yeah. So let's move on to the discussion of the Tocharian system. Yeah. So the Tocharian tense mood system look like this one. So this is really weird, yeah. Present, subjunctive, aorist, and imperative. But imperative is not that productive, so we can actually distinguish these three. So this is the system in Tocharian. Not like, so this is one-dimensional, right? So this is one dimension. But this Central or core Indo-European languages, it is actually 2-dimension, right? So in Tocharian, this is only 1 dimension, yeah. Present, subjunctive, and aorist, yeah. And then, let's move back to the core Indo-European language. So for this, for the horizontal part, present is different from aorist with respect to the aspect, right? So with respect to aspect, they are different. And then, and therefore, we have suppletion, right? So they are different. So present on aorist, they are different with respect to the aspect. And therefore, we have suppletion. And it's just exactly in Tocharian. So in Tocharian, present is different from subjunctive, although they can be identical in form, right? But basically, there are 2 different categories. Just like present is different from aorist, okay? And present is different from subjunctive. Therefore, we have suppletion. And this is exactly the example we're going to talk about. So in Tocharian, the verb is called bhavishyasi, right? So this is bhavishyasi, sorry, yeah. So this is equal to Tocharian takat. Yeah. So the verb is called tak, right? Okay. And what is a tak? And tak is actually the subjunctive, subjunctive of ness. And ness, I can show you. Wait a minute. Okay. So probably we can first check tak. Yeah. Okay. So this is a verb called tak. Tak means be or become, and there is no present for tak. It is only inflected in subjunctive. Yeah. So then we know this tak. So subjunctive is tak. Yeah. But present is ness. I can show you. Yeah. So this is ness. Yeah. And then we can actually analyze it further. So ness comes from the Indo-European root. Wait a minute. So we check the dictionary. So we move on to ness, right? Okay, so this is the ness, right? So ness originally means daarvan komen onbeschadigd heimkehren. So come back home without any damage, right? So this is the ness. And yes, you find it also, wait a minute, where is Tocharian? Here, Tocharian, you can see Tocharian nestal and nessam. Originally, it is actually not present, or it's neither aorist nor present. It's actually perfect. So this is also very something interesting. So originally, it comes from PIE perfect. Yeah. And take a look. So this perfect has no reduplication. So originally we should expect ne, nos, right? With reduplication. But in Tocharian, there's no reduplication. It's called nesal. And ao is a personal ending. And this ne, so I can show you why it comes from perfect, because in Tocharian B, it's called nes. And in A, it's called nas. Yeah. So if we have A in Tocharian B and R in Tocharian A, so it means that it goes back to Proto-Indo-European. Which vowel? Can anyone tell me? I think it's pretty obvious. You already have the answer here. Yes, yeah, it comes from Proto-Indo-European or. And this or occurs in perfect. And this phenomena is preserved exactly in Germanic languages, in Gothic. So this is the reason why I want to emphasize the importance of Germanic languages. So you have to learn Germanic languages if you want to understand Tocharian better. Yeah. So this is another example. Yeah, okay. And then it comes another interesting question, that the perfect becomes a present. Yeah. So this is something we also find in other languages, like in Sanskrit, the word vid, and the word also in Greek called oida, right? So this is Sanskrit. So this is Sanskrit, and Greek it's called oida, right? So this verb has already lost the real perfect sense, and it sometimes means used just like a present. Yeah. And then let's talk about this tak. So tak we actually mentioned earlier. So this tak goes back to the Proto-Indo-European stech. So it actually comes from the PIE stech, yeah, with laryngeal 2, right? So this is laryngeal 2, right? So originally it means sich hinstellen, so put yourself in some place. So this is a punctual action, right? And then from this, we have K. So I think if we, I'm not sure if we have the form here. So here only the conjunctive, right? Yeah, conjunctive called Thomas. And there's also something with K extension, which you also find in Greek. Yeah, it's not here. Yeah. Okay. So check it. So here you see there's a remark. So make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. So this verb, otherwise with a K extension, and probably from this dake. So it's influenced from the verb dake. So this dake is actually the Sanskrit, the Latin word faccio. Yeah, facere, faccio. Yeah, facere. Yeah, with the k. Yeah, k actually comes from the K extension. So it is also the extension. Yeah. Is this one extension? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then we know that present and subjunctive so this is a verbal system in Tocharian. Yeah. So in Tocharian, present, subjunctive, aorist, they are different from each other. There are three basic forms, three basic stems. But in the central or core Indo-European languages, subjunctive, indicative, optative, they are three different aspects, three different categories. So the core Indo-European languages, they are two dimension like this one, right? But the Tocharian system is actually one dimension. We only have present, subjunctive, aorist. So basically you can say they all, how to say that? There's actually no indicative. Yes. Okay. This is basically the case in Tocharian. So probably we can make a stop and then we can continue talk about, we can read some sentences, read some Tocharian passages, yeah. Or I can explain also some connection with other Indo-European languages like in Greek and also in Latin and also in Sanskrit, so on, yeah. Okay, I stop recording and then we have a short break. The sound. OK， 那我用中文重新解释一下，就是说在所谓的那个核心印欧语当中啊，它事实上是存在两个时态，对吧？一个是现在时，一个是过去时。然后呢，在时态的同时，它还有另外一个维度的信息，就是说动词它有两个维度的信息。第一个维度的信息是时间或者时态，还有一个维度的信息是情态，对不对？这两个是相当于是可以交叉的，就是说一个现在时可以对应三种情态，一个过去时也可以对应三种情态，这个明白吗？这个是核心印欧语的system， 就明白对吧？好，行，那我继续讲。那吐火罗语是非常奇怪的特点是什么呢？它没有所谓的直陈式啊，或者是就它没有直陈式，但是它有什么虚拟语气和那个 optative， 就是说这种翻译其实是有问题的，就是说就这种称呼其实是有问题的。就是吐火罗语当中呢，它是存在三套就是主要是三种语干，然后这三种语干呢，我们分别把它命名为现在时、虚拟式和过去式。然后这三个是平行的，这三个地位是平行的，不像这个核心这个是交叉的，对吧？这个能明白吗？就是说，在核心英语当中，现在时和过去时是属于一个层面的，但是呢，虚拟语气是另外一个层面的，是它属于一个情态。但是呢，在吐火罗语当中，它不是的。吐火罗语当中，现在时、虚拟式和 aorist， 它是属于一个维度的。对，就是在核心印欧语当中，在核心印欧语当中，它是存在时态和语气两个维度的。但是在吐火罗语当中，它感觉上是混起来了。但这个是我要待会儿要解释的，就是它为什么看起来是混起来的？对，对，就是你看到，就是所以说这个就是大家的一般的理解，对吧？表面上的理解叫做吐火罗语把全部的都弄到一块了，就把全部的都混起来了，对吧？其实不是这样的，其实吐火罗语才代表了一种更加原始的一种形态。然后我待会儿会解释，就希望你们会觉得有意思一点，对。此处需要板书吗？我其实不太确定怎么写，对，需要我已经那个，是吧？需要直播，需要直播，嗯，对，就是吐火罗语当中是有 optative 的，但是它没有 indicative，所以你可以，所以这就非常奇怪的一种现象，对不对？ 就是我们学梵语也好，学希腊语也好，就理所当然的认为啊，时态和语气是分开来的两个系统，对不对？时态就是现在和过去，语气嘛就是一个集成，一个虚拟，还有一个祈愿，对不对？但是吐火罗语当中不是的，它看上去像是把它混起来，看上去像是把它混起来啊。为什么会出现这种情况？对，然后我待会儿会解释一下，就是看看你们能够 get 这个 point。对，事实上吐火罗语这个是一种更加原始的状态，对，代表了一种更加原始的状态。对，我们待会儿解释。休息一会儿，我继续，我把那个暂停一下。So we just to continue the discussion of subjunctive. So as I have mentioned that the system of Tocharian verbal system is quite different from the central or core Indo-European languages, right? So in order to understand or explain why, let's check the information. First, for this, how to say that, opposition, 就是这个三种形式的对立, I will show you an example. So example, you can find it actually in the Tocharian Elementarbuch. It's about page, well, yeah. So suppletion is not unfamiliar for all of you. You all know that in Sanskrit, like we have the hung versus vat, right? We also have pash versus trish, right? Yeah. So this all you all know. So actually, in Sanskrit, the suppletion applies to present versus aorist, right? But in Tocharian, that's different. So in Sanskrit, if you have a present, so the suppletion is between present and aorist, right? There's actually no suppletion between present and the subjunctive, right? So subjunctive is totally different dimension, yeah. So there's no suppletion between this one. But in Tocharian, let's check it. So this is actually a case in Tocharian. This is two, how to say that? Two roots. So ak and y. So for the present, you have ak, but for the subjunctive and preterite, so preterite is actually aorist. So this is similar to Sanskrit. So in Sanskrit, present aorist suppletion. And in Tocharian, there's also present preterite. Preterite is actually originally aorist or prefix, yeah, but here's aorist. So ak, y, or kli, stem. So this is basically the familiar 双元或者是二元，对吧？就是我不知道二元这个用dichotomy 还是我不知道二元英语怎么说，就是这个是二元对立的，对吧？这是二元opposition, right? But in Tocharian, there's something binary. Okay, dichotomy. Okay, so binary opposition or dichotomy. Okay, but in Tocharian, there's something really interesting. There's叫什么trichotomy 对吧？就是会有三元对立的。So present per subjunctive us and preterite come. 就是在吐火罗语当中是会有这种形式，会有这种三元对立的。So this is in Tocharian. Present, subjunctive, aorist, they are different. So like so present we have her, and subjunctive we have us, and aorist we have come. So this is very special in Tocharian. And then let's move back to Hittite. So let's check now Hittite. Yeah. So for the Hittite verbal system, probably you also have some idea, right? Wait a minute. So still we check the book. We just need to check briefly the very brief overview. So in Hittite, there are only two moods, indicative and imperative. So then again, there's no subjunctive or optative. Yeah. So you check this line here. Yeah. So I copy this. So in Hittite, there's only two moods. Yeah. Indicative and imperative. And you would say that, well, it's also different from Tocharian, but check it. I did not mention imperative. And in Tocharian, there's indeed imperative. So the Tocharian verbal system, we check it. So imperative is another case, is another, how to say that? There's a separate category called imperative. So we can say, actually, Tocharian and Hittite represent the same category, or same, how to say that? Same system, right? So 所以这里的翻译就是用 subjunctive 这个词的翻译其实有问题的，就因为我一旦用了 subjunctive， 你就会非常容易从梵语的角度去理解，对吧？但是呢，吐火罗语的这个 subjunctive， 它其实和梵语的这个 subjunctive 不一样的，是不一样的。好 ，OK。然后我们现在来讨论一下，就是我这个用中文可能需要再说一遍，就是说在一般的梵语当中，我们存在这种就是要意干什么，就是什么意干什么，我忘记了这个中文怎么翻译，就它的词干是不一样的，在现在时和过去时的时候，词干是意干互补啊。OK， 就在我们通常理解的梵语、希腊语也好，它的这个意干互补现象，它是出现在现在时和过去时这种情况当中的，对不对？然后我们不可能在梵语当中出现现在时和虚拟语气不同的词根，因为这两个是完全就是怎么讲呢？就是叫什么八竿子打不着什么之类的，就是他们是不同的 category， 对吧？所以你不可能说什么 present 和 conjunctive 是构成 suppletion， 这个完全 make no sense， 对吧？因为虚拟语气，对吧？这个我就不重复了。但是呢，在吐火罗语当中是会存在三元对立的。什么叫三元对立？就是说它的现在时一个词干，虚拟式一个词干，过去式或者过去时是一个词干。典型的例子就是这个 per, us, come。然后这个最有意思的是，就更有意思的是什么呢？我们如果去查字典，希腊语那个叫 fair， 对不对？叫 fellow， 希腊语叫 fellow， 对不对？大家记得希腊语的 aorist 叫什么吗？希腊语的 aorist 是另外一个词根，我们可以去查一下。如果大家不记得的话，我们就直接查那个 fellow 就可以了。好，我们去查那个希腊语的那个。好， 希腊语的那个我这个是用了荷马史诗的字典，所以它绝对可以代表希腊语最古老的形式。就大家去查这个字典的时候，记得点这个 Optative， 那个 Optative 它是荷马字典，所以它所有的形式和出处都是出现在荷马当中的。好，那我们去看一下荷马史诗当中的形式。Fellow 是那个现在时，对不对？它的 Subjunctive 是 Felici， 所以这是非常规律的。我们一直学到经典语言，那个都是那个虚拟语气嘛，那就直接在那个现在时的词干上加一个a， 对吧？然后虚拟然后那个Optative 有吗？有，这里没有，无所谓了然后大家看好了，它的 aorist 叫什么？它的 aorist 叫 anica。wait a minute。所以在希腊语当中，这个叫 anica， 它的那个 aorist 叫 anica。然后希腊语当中还有一个这个词根，还有一个有意思的是什么？大家发现了吗？它的 future 也是3元的，它的 future 是叫 also 它的 future 叫 also 这个是 this is Greek，this is Greek。This is Tocharian, right? So we all know that this is Tocharian. So this is future. This is aorist. Okay. And this is present. 就是大家学希腊语或者也好，学梵语也好，我说过了，现在时和过去时存在异干互补的现象是绝对可以理解的，对吧？因为我之前跟大家讲过，什么动词的那个持续动词还是顺时动词，什么有个经典的例子叫蹦蹦跳跳，对吧？这个我希望大家都能记住。但是为什么 future 也会出现就是这种词干不一样的地方？为什么？这是一个不能理解的情况，对吧？如果我们认为 future 只是时间层次，对吧？就是 future 在梵语当中是不可能存在这种现象的，对吧？在梵语当中 future 就是一个西亚，对不对 ？future 是一个就是 Sanskrit， 所以 Sanskrit future is 西亚，对吧？这就不会出现问题的。好，现在我就来解释一下。好。So we start from 大家能发现问题吗？就是我解释了这么多，大家发现这是一个问题，对不对？就是这是一个看起来很奇怪的现象，对吧？好，然后我现在就是 try to make sense of it， 就是解释一下，就是我们一般认为的 central IE， so central IE subjunctive. We talk about central IE subjunctive. So in Sanskrit, you probably know. Let's check this example. So bhagati is present. Sorry, indicative, right? So what is subjunctive present? It's called bharati, right? So it is present subjunctive. And what is so I copy this, Felici, right? So this is, and in Greek, so this is Sanskrit, right? You all know that. So in Greek, Felici, right? Yeah. 等一下，这个形式是确认第三人称单数，所以大家可以看到，so actually in Greek and in Sanskrit we actually have a lengthening, right? We actually have a lengthening. Yes. So this is so from this example we know the central IE subjunctive is actually the present plus so it's actually present plus a semantic vowel. So if we have a, so this is actually a semantic vowel already. So this is all a semantic vowel. So this is already semantic present, right? So if we have a semantic present, so like this is a root, and this is the semantic vowel, and then if we want to build, so this is semantic present indicative, right? And how can you build subjunctive? You put another semantic vowel. So this is semantic present subjunctive. Yeah. Okay. And then what is the optative? Originally it's wrong E. So this is semantic present optative. 对，这个就是我们在构成central IE subjunctive 的时候所用的方式，就是说你相当于 subjunctive 就是再加上一个主题元音就行了，主题元音 subjunctive 呀 ，OK， 所以说本质上subjunctive 虚拟式呢，它事实上就是加上一个这个元音在这里就可以了。好，那大家再想一想。如果我是一个 asymmetric verb, if we have an asymmetric verb, so what is the difference? So for asymmetric verb, subjunctive, what should subjunctive look like? The subjunctive should look like root plus a, right? And if we compare with semantic verb, indicative, it is also a, right? How can you tell the difference? You cannot, right? You cannot tell the difference. They're basically the same, yeah. They look exactly the same, and probably only distinguished by ending, because in central IE, you can use secondary endings, but mostly they will use primary ending. So for the asymmetric verb, subjunctive, it looks exactly like a semantic verb indicative. 所以说呢，那个核心印欧语的虚拟式，它本质上其实就是一种构成现在时的方式，它实际上本质上就是一种现在时，它并不是真正的什么表示虚拟啊或者什么之类，它事实上就是一类构成现在时的方式，就相当于构成了一个 A 在这里。好，那构成这个 A 的话，它会有什么变化呢？就是 what is a function? What is the function of A？ 就这个 A 到底有什么作用呢？那我们其实可以去看一些例子，我给大家看几个例子。就是说啊，这个 A present， 我之前看了几个例子，我们可以先看一看。对，这其实是有一些代表性的。对，我们比如说举这个例子。好，大家看这个词的意思叫 yet 叫 sich hinstellen， 还记得这个 sich hinstellen 还出现在哪里过吗？是不是出现在 star 那个词，对吧？站那个词。所以说我们可以知道 sich hinstellen 这个词，它本质上它的那个Aktionsart， 就是它的那个行为方式，它的 Aktionsart， 就是我们找一个这个词 yet 或者这么写 yet 这个词，就它表示sich hinstellen， 对吧？然后这个词是一个那个瞬时性的词，对吧 ？punctual， 这是一个瞬时性的词 punctual。所以呢，它在构成 aorist 的时候，它用的是 root aorist。So this is a root aorist。但是呢，这个词因为是瞬时性的，所以呢， 我们在构成现在时的时候是不能用那个跟现在时，对吧？因为这个是一个瞬时性的动词，你不能用跟现在时，因为跟现在时是强调了你持续性的动作才可以用跟现在时，对不对？所以呢，他用了一个什么现在时？他用了一个 a 现在时 ，and this one is a 现在时。所以说，大家看到了，就是你这个元音，虽然大家看起来非常简单，对吧？就是一个 a 或者一个 o， 对吧？就是一个主题元音，但这个主题元音它有什么作用呢？它当然是它的就是怎么讲呢？就是它可以构成现在时，对不对？但构成这个现在时，它会发生什么变化？它实际上会发生这个语义上的变化。它呢，实际上是可以把一个原来瞬时性的动词，它可以变成一个持续性的词。就是说，这个 a 啊，就这个 morpheme， 这个 a morpheme， 它可以起到构成现在时也好，然后可以改变这个就相当于类似，它可以把蹦和跳变成蹦蹦跳跳这样的意思。就这个 a morpheme， 它事实上是可以改变这个词的意思的，改变这个词形的意思，它可以把一个瞬时的词变成一个持续性的动作，是这样的意思。我讲到现在能明白吗？能不能明白 ？OK， 好，现在下面我就要开始解释，为什么希腊语的 future 需要用一个新的词根。好，大家明白这个一点之后，就明白这个一点之后，我们继续聊，就是我们先看一看什么叫 future 怎么样？或者是我们先看一看那个就是okay, so I think you probably have the idea of this one. So this a morpheme, so I just use this example, this Hinstellen. So this root has a punctual meaning, and then we should build a root aorist. And since it is a punctual root, if we want to build a present, we cannot build a root present. We need something. Yeah. And the solution is that there's an a morpheme. So use this a morpheme, we can build a present from a punctual root. So this a morpheme can actually change the meaning of the root. Change the meaning of the root if we build a stem, right? So from a punctual root to a continuous durative stem. Okay, so this is a key point. So this is a function of this E morpheme. And then let's move back to the relationship between future and the so-called subjunctive. And this subjunctive, and I showed you, this is a morpheme, right? This is a morpheme subjunctive. To illustrate this relationship, let's just check Latin. This is a very so for the Latin, okay. So let's check the Latin future. Yeah. So actually, Latin future, the future did not seem to exist as a full-fledged, specifically derived category in Proto-Indo-European. Future meaning could be expressed either by the present indicative, right? So, like you use the indicative for, especially in the case of movement, like or this kind of yeah. So I go to France tomorrow. So this movement verb, if you use indicative, it can sometimes mean future, right? But there's also another very important category. You can use a subjunctive, and then the subjunctive can mean future. So actually, future is not really a Proto-Indo-European category, but subjunctive is. And the subjunctive, there's an example called svastaye vayum upa brava mahai. So brava mahai is subjunctive in Vedic. Yeah. So you can see the R. Well, R is actually you cannot tell that it is lengthened, but since this verb is asymmetric, so we know this is actually lengthened, and mahai is typical subjunctive ending. Yeah. So we know that this is subjunctive, and then subjunctive we can translate it as a future. So we will invoke value for well-being and so on. And Latin is exactly the case. So Latin future, as far as they are of clear origin, continue Proto-Indo-European subjunctive. So in Latin, there's no future. The future comes from the subjunctive. Yeah, subjunctive. Ero. Why? Because the S is originally asymmetric, right? So you have asti, right? So you recall the Sanskrit form called asti, right? So asti, as is the root, ti is the ending, so asti is asymmetric. But the Latin word ero is symmetric, right? How can you build a symmetric? You just use a semantic vowel. So this is a semantic vowel with H2, right? So this is semantic vowel. So this is, again, you cannot tell the difference between asymmetric verb subjunctive and semantic verb indicative. So they both use this element, and this element can change something, right? So let's move on. And then for the Greek, you have edomai, and et is also asymmetric originally. So Greek edomai is asymmetric subjunctive. Yeah, subjunctive. Because Sanskrit is, in Sanskrit, it's called ati. Yeah. So in Sanskrit, it's called ati. So this is asymmetric, but if you want to build future, it is subjunctive. You use subjunctive. Yeah, it's just exactly like this. This is also the case in Greek. So now you know the relationship between subjunctive and so you know future actually can be equated to subjunctive. And then again, subjunctive is the a subjunctive, right? A morpheme with the a morpheme. And this a morpheme can change actions art. And actions art is closely related with suppletion. So this is the logic of why Greek also is different. Because also originally is not a real future. There's no real future. This is actually subjunctive. And this subjunctive is built with a morpheme. And this a morpheme can change. Check it. So this a morpheme can change the actions art. And the actions art is connected with suppletion. So this is basically the reason why we need a suppletion for future. but it is actually a suppletion for subjunctive。好，那我用中文再讲一遍，然后我还继续再会解释一下那个梵语的那个future， 梵语的 future 到底是怎么来的。好，就是刚才这个我已经说过了，就是这个 amorphan 事实上它是可以它是在构词的时候，它事实上是可以改变词的意思的，对不对？我刚才举的是这个词的例子，对吧？好，然后我们再去看那个将来时，将来时的话，在原始印欧语当中事实上是不存在的。然后呢，原始印欧语当中是为什么没有将来时呢？但是如果大家想表示将来，有哪些方法吗？第一种方法你是可以用现在时的直陈式，那这种是仅限于一些行为动词动作的，比如说来啊、去啊这样。可以这么用，对吧？就是I fly to France, I fly to China， 对吧？这样。然后呢，还有一个最重要的就是 subjunctive， 然后这种 subjunctive 呢就是这种 subjunctive 虚拟式用来表示将来这种情况，既在吠陀梵语，既在梵语当中有，又在希腊语当中有，还在拉丁语当中有，所以这是一个非常普遍的现象。所以说。将来时本质上它实际上就是一种虚拟语气，然后这种虚拟语气呢，实际上是一种通过这种 amorphan 来构成的。然后这个 amorphan 呢，并不是一个随随便便可以加上去的元音，这种元音呢，它事实上是存在可以改变它的行为方式的这种意思的。而这种行为方式一旦改变了，它就会出现 suppletion。所以这就是为什么第一那个subjunctive 它并不是一个真正的一个所谓的语气也好，它实际上就只是一种构成词干的一种方式。就像我之前跟大家说的嘛，就是说 subjunctive 本质上实际上就是一个 amorphan， 这个 amorphan 它就是一种构词方式而已，对，它并不是一个什么特别神秘的什么语气啊或者什么之类的一个东西，它只是一种构词方式而已。然后这种构词方式的话，amorphan 它会产生那个行为方式的改变，然后这种行为方式的改变就会造成 suppletion。所以这就是为什么吐火罗语当中 subjunctive 需要另外一个词干的原因，因为它这里的 subjunctive 大家看好了，就是所以说现在时和所谓的虚拟语气，它事实上更多的是行为方式上的不一样，对吧？但具体这种行为方式的话，大家可以怎么样的理解呢？就是说我们之前说了 present 和 are with， 所以现在有点复杂了，但是就大家能明白，就我刚才讲的这些话，大家能明白吗？就是我讲的这些东西，有点复杂，对吧？但是大家能 get 到一个 idea 就行了，因为这个东西真的是需要大家大家看一些文本，或者是看一些那个语法，或者自己思考之后才能慢慢领悟的。所以大家现在有一个 idea 就可以了。You just get a basic idea, and then you can digest。就你稍后可以消化一下，然后再慢慢想一想。OK， 好，所以说，那我们继续讲这个问题，就是说啊。既然是存在语义上的差别，对不对？就是既然存在 actions art 上的差别，那大家想象一下，现在时和过去时，这个翻译其实非常不好的，就是因为我一旦说现在时、过去时，大家立刻就想到时间上的现在和过去，对不对？但其实不是的，所以我应该说 present 和 are with 就这两类动词，如果我们可以认为它们是那种punctual 或者是 durative 这种差别，就这个是 punctual。这种是 durative， 对吧？就是一种持续性的动作和一个完结性的动作。那这个 subjunctive 到底是什么呢？它想表达是什么？它实际上更多的可能是表示一种愿望啊、期待啊，或者是对自己有利的事情，实际上另外一个层面的语义。好，然后讲到这一点的话，那我们就可以继续讲那个梵语的那个将来时是怎么来的。 梵语将来时的话，我可能还要再拖个5分钟时间，但是我不会再讲太多，因为要讲很多的话就太复杂了，就真的是非常复杂。梵语大家都知道是一个死亚，对不对？好，那这个死亚到底是个什么东西呢？这个死亚啊，大家想象一下，我如果拆分的话，是不是可以这么拆，对吧？因为你不可能说，因为这个死亚so we know that future Sanskrit future we know the suffix is called xia something xia bashya bavishya or yeah like you have sh or s, so this is basically the same. And then we know this cannot be a simple suffix， 就这不可能是一个简单的后缀，对吧？因为你明显看上去这至少有3个可能有3个成分或者2个成分在里面，对不对？如果你学过梵语的话，那实际上很多语言学家有一派语言学家，比如说我们去看一下，就这个的话，如果这个实际上在那个 Macon 的那个书里面，就是Macon 1991。He gave actually a summary of the hypothesis of the Xia future in Indo-European languages, and he actually quotes the theory of Rasmussen. Rasmussen, this is a theory by Rasmussen or some other scholars. Actually, you can analyze Xia as se plus ya. So se, therefore, is the element, right? And this ya, what is this ya? And ya is always connected with something反身，对吧？就是how to say that reflectivity or reflectivität， 就是德语叫那个 reflectivität， 就是反身，大家能明白，就是himself reflexive, right? Yeah, like reflexive. OK， 所以说，梵语的那个将来时，实际上是可以分解成2个部分的。第一个是 s element， 还有一个是这个 ya element。然后这个 ya element 实际上是一种反身的意思，对。然后这其实也可以联系到那个为什么希腊语的 future， 我不知道大家还有没有印象，就是我很早之前给大家说过一个现象，就是在希腊语当中，那个将来时Nebenverwandte Indikative und so weiter， die Futur， 就是那个希腊语当中的将来时，它事实上 alle Bildungsweisen zeigen in älteren Zeit eine Vorliebe für das Medium。 所以说梵语就是希腊语当中也有一个 s morpheme， 对不对？就这个是希腊语的那个 future， 希腊语的 future 都是有 sigmatic future， 就是 Greek future s future right， 就是希腊语的 future 都是希腊语的话 ，so in Greek we always have s future and s future is always inflected in medium. So always in medium, yeah. So this tells us something. So what is the function of this s? So what is the function? What is the function? 我打字有点混乱了。What is the function of s? Yeah. 这就是这个大家可以现在思考一下，对，就是这个 s 到底是个什么 ？s 到底是干嘛用的？我说到 s， 大家还能想到一个，就除了刚才的那 aorist 之外 ，aorist 有一个 s aorist， 对不对？但其实还有一个包含 s 的，就是我们上一次梵语课赵世宏老师讲的 desiderative， 对，这就是 desiderative s 的作用。Desiderative 表示一种强烈的愿望，对不对？然后什么叫强烈的愿望？就是你希望有一个东西给你自己，就是你愿望肯定不可能给别人，对不对？就是 voluntative 也好，就是 desiderative 也好，就这种东西本质上都是对你一种自称的 for your own interest, right? So desiderative actually means something for one's own interest, 对吧？就是你愿望嘛，你希望获得一个东西，那 for one's own interest, so this is always connected with middle, 就是你对自己有利益嘛，就是反身的一种概念，就是 for one's own interest, and this is also flexive, and this is why it is connected with middle. 然后大家如果去 check 那个吠陀梵语当中的 desiderative 的话，你就会发现很多 desiderative。So in Vedic, if you check Vedic Sanskrit, in Vedic, a lot of desiderative medium 参从，就它很多都是在中动变化的，然后或者很多时候就中动比主动更多，或者是大概这样，或者 or more middle form。好，所以这就是我想说的那个所谓将来时还是虚拟语也好。所以说我刚才说的这个哲学层面上的问题是什么？就是说在原始印欧人的概念里面，他们是没有现在时的这种概念的，为我行，对吧？对，这就是 middle. So this is actually the relationship between reflexive and middle. Yeah, okay. So actually, this comes something philosophical. That actually in Proto-Indo-European, so for PIE, no future. But what is future? Future is kind of your own wish, for your own interest. 就这个大家比如说想一想，我们我不知道怎么解释这个问题，就怎么看，对于大家就是开放性的问题，大家怎么看待这个问题？就是什么叫将来，什么叫未来？就其实未来这个时间对我们现在的人来讲是没有意义的，因为你不可能去未来，对不对？因为未来的事情是未知的，就是你不可能知道的东西，或者说这个是怎么讲呢？其实它并不存在一个未来的时间这样的，因为你只可能活在当下嘛，就是或者你有一个短暂的比如说一个短暂的时间间隔，对吧？对，就是未来其实并不是一个具体实体存在的东西。那过去你可以说实体存在，因为你过去你已经经历过了，你已经经历过过去，所以你可以说过去。但未来是一个未知的东西，还没有发生的 non-existent 呀。So future is actually non-existent 呀。所以这个在原始印欧人当中就体现出来，它没有future 这个时态，就是没有 future 这个所谓的 tense。它表示未来的东西实际上是一种愿望，就是一种反身啊，是一种愿望，大概是这样的东西。好吧，就反正今天这个讲的有点稍微语言哲学的类似的，或者等等之类的，类似的东西。但这些内容，大家可能以后看得多了，或者再多看一些语法书也好，多看一些形式比较之后，可能会更能理解一点。我现在说的就只是我自己的一些见解，或者就当然我是基于那个学界传统的那个认识的，然后我用自己的话给大家解释了一下，就这几个东西之间的关联性，就是梵语的 future 到底是个什么概念？像有两个概念，一个是 s， 还有一个是压，对不对？OK， 对啊，就是没有将来时，这个是大家已经认可的，就是这个没有什么问题。OK， 好吧，那今天大概就这个。我也没有力气总结了，我觉得我嗓子有点不舒服，我就这样吧。剩下来大家可以自己讨论一下，就是反正大概就是这些内容。OK， 好吧，那非常感谢大家，那大家周末愉快，不是周末愉快，就是have a nice week and enjoy the rest of the day, and we will see each other next time. OK， 不客气，那个大家也辛苦了，一直听到现在。OK， 好，那我就停止，那我就把会议停止了，然后还是把这个视频传到网上。 OK，OK，大家再见，好，拜拜。